I never imagined that a simple joke said on a freezing night in a grocery store parking lot would change my life forever. I was just trying to lighten the mood. The wind was cutting through my thin jacket, and the world felt heavy. I looked at her, smiled weakly, and said, "Well, the sleeping space in the car fits both of us." She didn't laugh. She looked straight at me, her eyes tired but shining, and said softly, "I'd follow you anywhere." Before we begin, if stories about kindness and second chances move your heart, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Your Channel Name, where we believe even the smallest acts of kindness can change a life. Now, let me tell you how that night unfolded. 2 years ago, I was living in my car. That's not something I ever thought I'd say. I had a steady job at a warehouse outside Columbus, Ohio. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Then the company downsized. I was one of the excess positions. I told myself it was temporary. I had some savings. I'd find something else. But weeks turned into months. My savings disappeared faster than I expected. Rent piled up. My landlord was patient at first, then firm. Eventually, I packed my clothes into trash bags and loaded them into my 2008 Honda Civic. At first, I told myself it was an adventure. I'd shower at the gym. I'd park in different lots so no one noticed. I'd find work soon. But as winter crept in, so did the loneliness. One night, I parked behind a 24-hour grocery store. It felt safer with the lights and occasional cars coming and going. I wrapped myself in a blanket in the back seat, trying to ignore the cold that seeped through the windows. That's when I saw her. She was sitting on the curb near the cart return, hugging her knees. She looked to be in her late 20s, wearing a worn-out hoodie and jeans that were too thin for December. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. I tried to look away. I had enough problems of my own. But something about the way she stared at the ground, like the world had given up on her, pulled at me. I stepped out of the car and walked over. "Hey," I said gently, "you okay?" She looked up, startled. "Yeah, I'm fine." We both knew that wasn't true. I offered her the extra sandwich I had bought earlier. It wasn't much, just turkey and cheese, but her eyes softened when she took it. "Thank you," she whispered. We sat there in silence for a while. Her name was Maya. She had come to Ohio with her boyfriend, who promised her a fresh start. But things didn't go the way she hoped. The relationship turned controlling, then violent. One night, she left with nothing but the clothes she was wearing. "I don't really have anyone here," she said quietly. "I thought he was my someone." I didn't know what to say. I wasn't exactly in a position to offer help. I didn't even have a couch to lend. That's when I made the joke. "Well," I said, trying to smile, "the sleeping space in the car fits both of us." I expected her to roll her eyes or tell me I was crazy. Instead, she studied my face carefully, like she was measuring my heart. "I'd follow you anywhere," she replied. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't dramatic, it was honest. And in that moment, I realized something. Kindness doesn't require perfection. It doesn't wait until you have enough. Sometimes it shows up when you have almost nothing. I hesitated. Letting a stranger into my car wasn't exactly safe. But neither was leaving her alone on that curb. So I opened the passenger door. The first night was awkward. We rearranged bags and blankets to make room. The car felt even smaller than usual. We laughed quietly at how ridiculous it was. 2 grown adults trying to make a sedan into a studio apartment. But something shifted. The next morning, she offered to help me look for work. We went to the library and used the computers to fill out applications. She had experience in retail and applied everywhere she could. Days passed. We developed a routine. Mornings at the library, afternoons walking into stores and asking about openings, evenings parked in different safe spots around town. We talked a lot about childhood dreams, about mistakes, about the people who hurt us and the people who saved us. One night, while we were sharing a cup of instant noodles, she said, "You know, you didn't have to stop that night." "I know," I said. "Why did you?" I thought about it for a moment. "Because I know what it feels like to have no one stop for you." She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. Kindness is strange like that. It doesn't always fix everything right away, but it reminds someone they're seen. 3 weeks later, Maya got a call from a small diner. They needed a waitress for the early morning shift. The pay wasn't amazing, but it was steady. When she hung up the phone, she jumped into my arms right there in the parking lot of the library. "You did this," she said. "No," I laughed, "you did." But inside, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. With her first paycheck, she insisted we celebrate. We bought hot chocolate and sat in the car, watching the snow fall outside the windshield. "You're next," she told me firmly. And she was right. A week later, one of the warehouses I had applied to called me in for an interview. The manager glanced at my resume and asked about the employment gap. For a second, I considered lying. But then I thought about Maya, about honesty, about how far we'd come. "I lost my job," I said, "and my apartment. I've been living in my car, but I've shown up every day. I'm not afraid of hard work." He looked at me for a long moment. "You're hired," he said simply. I walked out of that building in shock. We didn't scream, we didn't dance, we just sat in the car, holding hands, overwhelmed by the quiet miracle of it all. Within 2 months, we saved enough for a small studio apartment. It wasn't fancy. The carpet was old, and the kitchen was tiny. But it had heat, it had a shower, it had a door we could lock from the inside. The first night we slept there, on an air mattress in the middle of the empty living room, Maya turned to me. "Remember what you said?" she asked. I smiled. "About the car?" "Yeah." I laughed softly. "Worst pickup line ever." She shook her head. "No. It was the kindest thing anyone had said to me in a long time. That's when I understood something important. Kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's not about having extra money or a perfect plan. It's about choosing compassion when it would be easier to walk away. If I had driven off that night, our lives would look very different. She might still be on that curb. I might still be alone in that back seat, believing I had nothing to give. But kindness created space. Space in a cramped car. Space in 2 wounded hearts. Space for hope to grow. Today, 2 years later, Maya and I are still together. We both have stable jobs. We volunteer once a week at a local shelter, serving meals to people who remind us of who we used to be. Sometimes, when the parking lot gets quiet and someone sits alone on the curb, I feel that familiar tug in my chest, and I remember how it all started, with a sandwich, a simple question, and a joke about a sleeping space in a car. If you're watching this and you feel like you don't have much to offer, let me tell you something. You do. You can offer a smile. You can offer a listening ear. You can offer a moment of respect to someone the world has ignored. You never know which small act will become someone's turning point. That night, I thought I was just sharing space in a car, but what we were really sharing was dignity, and dignity is powerful. So the next time you see someone sitting alone, struggling, invisible to everyone else, don't underestimate what one kind word can do. Because sometimes, all it takes is a simple gesture to change 2 lives at once, and maybe, just maybe, someone will look at you one day and say, "I'd follow you anywhere." Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still matters. And remember, no matter how small it feels, your kindness could be the beginning of someone's new life.